CSL Primetime is brought to you by Jovova Sports Uniforms and Apparel. Jovova, giving you sports experience for a lifetime. Hey folks, I'm Alex Bachivansky. This is Jovova CSL Primetime. Welcome. There was a full slate of games on tap last weekend. Things are getting heated as we head down the stretch with the playoffs approaching. Highlights coming up in just a moment. Also, Jason DeThomasis is going to be here shortly as well to break down the games that took place. And we'll have a feature story on Milton defender Leon O'Reilly. All that coming up later on. But first, Jovova game highlights, and don't look now, but York Region starting to crank it up again. Great news for the Shooters, but it's a terrible scenario for the other 7 teams in the league. After a subpar stretch that saw York go winless and goalless in 4 games, the Shooters appear to be firing on all cylinders again. Saturday, they squared off against second-place Scarborough, and York proved, once again, that when they play their game, they're on a whole different level than the rest of the league. Game highlights now brought to you by Jovova Sports Uniforms and Apparel. Jovova, giving you sports experience for a lifetime. Scarborough actually in a bit of a rut lately, losing 2 straight, and York thinks they've got an early one here. Nice passing as David Guzman lays it off for Richard West, but the flag goes up and it's offside. Okay, 17th minute, Alberto Harris dials long distance. He tries his luck from 30 yards out here, but Imatakura gets down to punch the ball away. 34th minute, York does draw first blood. Nice passing here. O'Dane Simpson with the picture-perfect cross for Evan Butler. In it goes, and York goes up by a 1-0 count. And then the goal of the week, David Guzman, 41st minute, great moves, and then he absolutely tattoos it home from the top of the box. Gorgeous goal. York going up by a deuce. Second half of play now, and Scarborough was desperate just to get something going. Anis Asesic with a nice cross. The header floating just wide of the post, though. York nearly adds to its lead in the 70th off the corner. Alex Stoyanovsky. Header just wide of the net, though. No matter. 2 would be more than enough for the Shooters on this day. York assistant coach John Pacione stopped by after and loved what he saw from his team on the day.
This is probably our best performance of the year. We played really well, and we controlled majority of the game, and our passing was right on tonight. So if we can do this all the rest of the season, I don't think there's going to be a team that's going to beat us this year.
So just when we thought Milton may have turned a corner and were on the ascent out of the CSL basement, they throw cold water right in our faces. Milton stunned second-place Scarborough 3 weeks ago with a 3-2 win. They added some significant veteran talent, and they've got one of the top snipers in the league with Adnan Smajic. Yet 2 weeks ago, they were lifeless in dropping a decision to Toronto Atomic, and last weekend, their slide continued against Serbia. Milton showed a lot more on this day compared to the week previous against Atomic. 7th minute, Adnan Smajic free kick. Huge save, though, by Goran Skaric right there, and he gets props from his defenders. 3 minutes later, Skaric was at it again. This time, he robs Lucky Magori, getting down to make the save right there. Serbia nearly breaks the ice 8 minutes later. Luka Bocic with the nice moves from in tight here, but smokes it just wide of the goalpost. The game takes a big turn in the second half. Keep your eye on Milton's Lucky Magori right there as he jostles with Marko Marovic, and it happened off camera, but allegedly Magori threw a pretty good elbow. The referee sure thought so anyway, as Lucky gets the straight red and the boot, taking the wind out of Milton's sails, and the Serbs would take full advantage. At first, it's Bocic with the sweet header off the corner kick at 82 minutes to break the ice and make it 1-0 White Eagles. And then, just before full time, Milo Sampanovic continues his charge up the goal-scoring charts with the sweet little flick over the head of Vladimir Vucinovic in the 88th minute. That made it 2-0, and that was all she wrote. So Serbia takes full advantage of 10-man Milton. Filip Vlasic stopped by and shared his thoughts on the rough play at times throughout the game.
Yeah, it's a tough fight from both teams. You go out and you try to play hard, and if a couple players get hurt, it's part of the game. Yeah, it was a great game. It was a tough battle from both teams. Able to pull in a couple goals in the end, but it was close throughout the whole game.
Okay, before we head to break, let's take a look at the CSL's top scorers, brought to you, of course, by the York Region Shooters Academy. Train with the professionals. Head to YorkRegionShooters.com for more information. At the top, still a tie between Sergei Ivliev and Adnan Smajic, followed by Richard West in third. Adis Asesic and Drazen Vukovic tied with 7 goals in fourth. And a tie for sixth with Stajilkovic and Stefan Vukovic with 6 apiece. Welcome back to Javova's CSL Primetime. So, would the real Hamilton City please stand up? It's been so tough to read these guys this year. For the first 2 months of the season, they were uninspired at best, which is puzzling when you consider the talent that's on that roster. We knew they were capable of much more, and Hamilton is suddenly surging. They're the hottest team in the league right now, having gone undefeated in their last 6 contests, and they continued their roll against Atomic on Saturday. Atomic was actually coming off a big 3-0 win over Milton, but Hamilton proved to be a whole different animal. Early on, free kick, but Vasil Shuk there to deny the Atomic header. Toronto looking good over the first 20 minutes or so. Oleski Yates with the header denied by Adrian Becic, and then they're whistled for the offside. 25th minute mark, Toronto does break through. Becic makes the original save, ends up coming back to Bogdan Polichkov, and Atomic jumps out to the 1-0 lead, but then Drazen Vukovic scores an absolute stunner for Hamilton. Drazen is slowly getting back into game shape after off-season surgery, which is a frightening thought for the rest of the league. Beautiful play, and it's all knotted up at 1. 4 minutes later, Igor Kramar with the long run on the far side. He's got Maxim Boksic as an option, but says, nah, I'll do it myself. Hamilton double up Atomic. They lead 2-1. Second half then, Hamilton, they just keep on coming. 3 minutes after the break, Boksic collects the feed and walks in and scores. And it's 3-1 for Hamilton. It's almost 4 a minute later as Boksic feeds Zdenko Jurcevic, but the crossbar has a say in things, and it stays out. Atomic desperately trying to claw back. Quick free kick here, and then Igor Melnik, nice moves, but he hits it right at Becic, who smothers it. Vukovic was causing all kinds of problems for Toronto on the night here. He gets chopped down inside the box right there, and yeah, not much doubt about that one. So they send Jurcevic to the line. He takes it about as perfectly as one can. You're not stopping that one. Hamilton running away with this one, up 4-1. Atomic corner, Terry Dunfield with the free header, and I think Terry's reaction pretty much says it all. A painful miss. And then it's Igor Mielewski turning and burning it, but once again, Becic right there, equal to the task. Atomic think they've got one back before full time. Dunfield with the nice feed here. Melnik with the finish, just a bit offside though as the flag goes up. So Hamilton cranks up the offense. Finally, they put 4 past Atomic. That's their highest single game total all year, and they run their unbeaten streak to 6 games. Well, Saturday's Brantford-Ukraine matchup may go down as the strangest game of the year. Every once in a while, you'll get these matches, but it was still unfortunate to watch. Ukraine had the top offense in the league heading into last weekend, and we were prepared for some goal-scoring fireworks. Unfortunately, The game was marred by fireworks of a different variety as the teams went toe-to-toe, literally, in a fiery encounter that didn't even make it 90 minutes. Not a ton of scoring chances in this contest, but scenes like this set the tone for what was to come later. 4 minutes in, Dragan Milovic collars Ukraine's Surliev and then has some choice words for him afterwards, and referee Gus Espinel has to calm the troops down somewhat. Ukraine's vaunted offense just wasn't clicking on Saturday. Ole Shutov gives it a go from well out here, but yeah, the shot's off by a fair bit. Harris Rzepi was a thorn in the side of Ukraine all evening. He catches up to the ball here. Unfortunately, his shot floats just over top of the crossbar. Just before the half, though, the Galaxy do draw first blood. Milovic with the sweet moves and even better finish from the top of the box. And Brantford, yep, they jump out on top. They've got a 1-0 lead. Second half, though, things just get silly. Andrei Lemashevsky fights for the ball with Rzepi. Krum Bigistrov comes charging in. Doesn't seem to like it when he gets whistled down for that elbow right there. So he takes after the referee, keeps speaking, gets a yellow card, and then says something very, very naughty, apparently that gets the ref's attention, gets a second yellow, so he's out. Dimitar Kostyev was going studs up on everyone, it seemed, with his tackles. He gets a yellow for that, and then seconds later decides to get into it with Lemashevsky right here, and he drops like a sack of nails right there. They didn't seem to want to play on this night. They end up both getting tossed from the game. There you go with the red cards. And the amount of players continues to dwindle. So here's what happened. Brantford had a short bench to begin with and then suffered a couple of injuries in the second half on top of the red cards. They were down to 6 men. You can't field a team that way. So Espinel called the game. As it stands right now, the league is reviewing the contest, so the points are in limbo. As mentioned, this was not the greatest game, and the league will be looking at the footage to see if additional disciplinary action needs to be taken because of all those red cards. Okay, let's take a look at the league table and where all the teams currently sit. York padding their lead on top at 35 points, followed by Scarborough, Serbia. Atomic surging Hamilton now with 21 points. FC Ukraine, the Brantford Galaxy, and Milton in last place with 10 points. Welcome back to Javoba CSL Primetime. Alex Bastivansky joined in the studio now by Jason Thomasis for DTS Breakdown. Welcome, buddy.
Hey, good to be here.
How was the long weekend?
Beautiful, good end of summer.
Yeah, cottage.
Of course.
Always off to the cottage. We've got a lot to catch up on to, so let's get to DT's Breakdown, brought to you by Days Inn Hotel, official hotel of the Canadian Soccer League. And York and Scarborough to start things off. And it should be said that York lately, we talked about it a lot, unimpressive over the last 4 games, we could say. But after this game against Scarborough, they definitely look like they're back on track, don't they?
Yeah, they set the bar high for themselves. So obviously, if they're not winning games by a big margin, it looks unimpressive to us. But they look very inspired this weekend, back to their old selves. They're very decisive in their passing, and I think it could have been a lot more than 2 goals.
You heard assistant coach Johnny say at the end of the game too as well, he thought that was possibly their best game of the year so far. Do you agree?
Yeah, they look great. You know what? Coming off a couple losses and a couple, scoreless games, for York to put in that performance, it looked like they were hitting on all cylinders, and I think that they're fantastic.
We've talked about how York has not looked the same over the last few weeks, and one of the big things that Jason mentioned was the ball movement. not looking like that typical York region fluent ball movement. Again, in this game, though, we saw some tremendous passes. The David Guzman goal, out of this world from outside the 18-yard box there, too.
Oh, it was beautiful. Top corner left foot. It was a bullet, no chance for the goalie. But even like the build-up play before that, touch and go passing, and again, it's one pass and it cuts off 4 defenders, and they look great.
The stuff that York region has been renowned for over the last few years, basically. It's only 2 goals, but after going scoreless for 4 games, 2 losses and 2 ties, and only getting the 1 goal last week in the game they bounced back with for the win. 2 goals has got to feel like an avalanche of goals for them, doesn't it?
Yeah, we spoke about confidence in any sport, and with 2 goals for them, you know what? It shows them that it was just a couple bad games, and they're back on track. And again, scoreless is fantastic for them with 6 goals against the whole year. It's looking pretty good.
Scarborough not really getting much going in this game. Scarborough, of course, still in 2nd place right now, but they haven't looked impressive over the last couple of weeks. They lost to Milton, of course, and now they dropped this game to York Region. Now it is York Region who's the 1st place team. Scarborough never really looked into this one, though, did they?
I don't know what it was, but if York imposes their dominance early on, it's pretty intimidating and it's tough to get into it. But like you said, over the last couple of weeks, Scarborough hasn't looked too good. And again, this game, they're further back from York now for top of the standings.
All right, okay, Serbia, Milton, and this was definitely one of the most exciting games of the week. 2-0 for Serbia in this game, but tons of chances on both sides. And it's got to be said, Milton, you know, they did come out on the wrong end of this game, but Milton looked good in this game.
You know what? From what I saw, Milton should have been up 1-0, and a couple good saves by the goalie, and red card doesn't help, obviously, and Serbia came back and punished them.
We were going to say they were right there. They were right there with Serbia the entire game. Milton might even have had the better of the chances up to that point. They get that awful foul by Lucky McGorry there. That apparently what happened was, it's being reviewed by the league. It looks like it was an elbow to the head. It happened off camera, but that's the report that we're getting, so could be some suspension time there. He gets a red card. After that, the whole complexion of the game changed, didn't it, obviously?
Yeah, you know what? He was their biggest attacking force, and he was the biggest threat. Him out of the game, they're always going to have one less man up front, and Serbia just took it to them.
Serbia looks like they're back on track after the unfortunate situation with Hamilton last week. They had a brawl with Hamilton 2 weeks ago, pardon me, it was. And that event still under review by the league, so Serbia could look like a different team next week if suspensions are forthcoming. But Serbia looked great in this game.
Yeah, you know what? Coming off, again, that fight last week or a couple weeks ago, putting things together, they look pretty good. And you know what? If there are suspensions, they have to collect all the points that they can now, because if they have some key players out, it's going to be pretty tough.
Okay, let's move on to Hamilton now and Atomic. And Hamilton, as we said before in the show, as I said, well, the real Hamilton City, please stand up, because these guys have been all over the map this year. We knew they were capable of a lot more than what they've done so far, but they look great in this game, defeating Atomic 4-1.
Yeah, you know what? Like you said, they had a couple players coming in, new additions late in the season, and it looks like it's finally coming together for them. And if they can keep this going, there's still a lot of games to be played, and they can move their way up.
Hottest team in the league right now, too. I actually had to check the stats, and I realized Hamilton now unbeaten in their last 6 games. They've won 3, they've tied 3. They've got a lot of CSL veteran talent on this team, so these guys have to be watched down the stretch. They're playing really hot right now.
Yeah, you know what? They close the gap with Atomic, and it's a huge statement game. I think they're 1 point back now, so Atomic's got to watch out, or Hamilton's going to surpass them pretty quickly.
And Atomic, we're going to move on to the next game, but Atomic, as mentioned, just up and down. They win one, they lose one. They really need to develop some consistency. Let's move on now to Brantford in Ukraine. Another interesting game, I guess is the best way we can put it. Very lackadaisical, both teams. The performance didn't even go the full 90 minutes. Not a lot of spring in the step of either teams on this. We've got 50 seconds. I will say, though, a nice goal by, Dragan Milovic from just outside the box. It was a beauty in any league. That was a fantastic goal.
Yeah, you know what? Brantford was taking it to Ukraine, and credit to them. You know, bottom of the table team, and Ukraine's been pretty hot lately. You know, top of the box, far corner, no chance for the goalie.
Gus Aspinall, the official, abandons the game with 20 minutes left because of a series of red cards and injuries to Brantford as well. They were down to 6 men. You have to play with 7 men. What can you say? It's a disappointing way to end the game. It was a disappointing game in general, wasn't it?
Yeah, I too, but I don't have any words to describe it. Just several red cards. It seemed obviously all unnecessary, and that was a win for them, and now it could be gone.
And some awful studs up tackles the league will be looking at as well. We're out of time. Thanks for being here, buddy.
Of course, pleasure is mine.
More Jabova CSL Primetime coming up in just a moment. Stick around. Welcome back to Javova's CSL Primetime. We've talked about the struggles Milton SC has experienced so far this season, but one thing that's been solid for them all year has been Leon O'Reilly. The native of St. Lucia is the rock that holds the Milton defense together, and we find out more now about Leon in this week's Player Spotlight, brought to you by Olympic Trophies, official trophy supplier to the Canadian Soccer League.
I'm from St. Lucia. My first team, I could remember I was 16 years old, playing the big man, Ghetto Lions, which no longer exists. But then I moved on to Knights Football Club. So I also played for my country under 21. And I did play Windward Island school games just when I left school. So with my experience, I have a lot of soccer underneath my belt. And coming out there, helping these boys, I do enjoy it. Basically, I come out and give my 100%. I adopted a position of playing centre back, which I used to be a full back, and I adopted it because of my coach. He put me in there, needed help, and I slotted in pretty much just my experience I plays on, and also my quick pace, which is the knowledge of the game for years playing, that I do understand the game and could read the game. So from the back, looking from the back, I could dictate the game. I'm 29 now. I was sponsored here by my dad. I came here when I was 20 years old, and I'm here now. It's almost 10 years. So here playing, I've been playing with, when I first came here, I played soccer with a bunch of guys from Hamilton, which is where I live. I played for Hamilton Sparta, and I've served them for 9 years now. Won the OSL, won a bunch of titles with them. Started from the Hamilton League, going into the OSL, the Ontario Soccer League. I'm moving my way up here where my coach Amero gave me a chance to play CSL, which I'm grateful for. I played last year, I won the CSL second division last year with the Milton B. So me making that transformation from OSL to CSL, I thought to myself I couldn't play it, but it's soccer and I enjoy it. Like I said, the competitiveness, I thought I wouldn't have that competitiveness in me of playing with those boys, because most of the guys are from Europe and mixing. So seeing to compete against those guys, I do enjoy it. This team has the chance. We have the players where we could come out on top and win the league, and I'm looking forward to it. It's time we need to just gel and keep playing. Everybody here could play soccer, and everybody know what he has to be done, needs to be done of him. So in that sense, we come out there and play 100%, and then we're gonna challenge this league. I hope at the end of the season we're #1, and we're going for #1.
Okay, some league news to update you on, and the fallout from the brawl between the Serbian White Eagles and Hamilton City was severe. This was the game that took place back on August 27th, where both benches ended up clearing, and the teams went at it for a few minutes. They really went at it. Hamilton was up 1-0 at the time, and what happened was the official ended up abandoning the game in the 89th minute. They just couldn't restore order. Punches and kicks were thrown, some blood was flowing, and just when they thought they had it under control, they'd start up again. So here's what happened then. A disciplinary hearing was held on September 6th. Hamilton, 3 players total were suspended. The suspensions ranged from 1 to 6 games. Serbia hit hard. 5 total players suspended, ranging from 1 to 6 games. And their head coach also suspended from the melee. On a happier note, let's check out the plays of the week. There were some good ones. Number 5, York was in peak form on Saturday. Evan Butler flies in for the beautiful one-timer against Scarborough, part of a 2-0 York win on Saturday. Number 4, this was an ugly game, but this was a beautiful shot. Brantford's Dragan Milovic with the nice moves, and he hammers it home to beat Ukraine's Nazar Litvin on Saturday night. Number 3, Adnan Smajic had this free kick earmarked for the top corner, but Serbia's Goran Skadic skies for the gorgeous stop against Milton. And number 2, we've been waiting for Hamilton to break out all season, and they did in a big way against Atomic. Blazin Vukovic with the goal of the night as he slices and dices through half the Toronto roster, puts it home, and that was part of Hamilton's big 4-1 win. And number 1, York's David Guzman doing all the work here as he slides through the Scarborough D. Absolutely hammers it from 18 yards out. That's beautiful. That's about as good as it gets. And that is our CSL play of the week. Okay, sadly, we've got to run. Just remember, though, you can always head to CanadianSoccerLeague.ca to get all your up-to-date league information at CSL_soccer in the Twitterverse and Javola Canadian Soccer League on Facebook. We'll see you next week, folks. Thanks for watching.